Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Candidate Forum for candidates for TGK's mayoral seat and City Council at-large seats. I'm Lucas McFadden, anchor and producer for CN2 News and co-host of Palmetto Mornings on WRHI. The York County Regional Chamber of Commerce is delighted to be serving the city of TGK as a sponsor of tonight's forum. Tonight, we will hear from the two candidates aiming to fill the mayor seat, and then we'll hear from the candidates aiming to fill the 4 at-large seats. All races will be determined on Election Day. Circle it on your calendar. It is November the 2nd, 2021. As moderator, my job is just to keep order and to keep up with the rotation of the candidate responses and questions. The sources of the questions I'll be asking the candidates, will they come from the Chamber's Fort Mill TGK Area Council Board, Chamber members, and the general public. Chamber staff compiled the questions which have remained secure and are not known by the candidates. Here are the rules for tonight's forum. The same rules apply to both mayoral and city council candidates. After a 60-second opening statement, there will be 6 questions posed by me, the moderator, to the candidates. They will each get a time limit of 60 seconds to answer the question. The same questions will be directed to all candidates, and each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a question first. The order determination will be alphabetical by last name, with the order rotated throughout. Candidates will be notified of response statement time remaining by a display of a yellow screen with 15 seconds remaining and a red screen when time has expired on the iPad right in front of you. Once time has expired, a soft alarm will go off indicating that time is up along with the red screen. Candidates will not be allowed to continue answering any question after that time has expired, but you will be able to wrap up your thought. In delivering open statements and answering questions, candidates are encouraged to focus on the issues. Candidates will not be allowed to use electronic devices. We're talking cell phones, tablets, laptops, etc. during the forum. And rebuttals will be at the discretion of myself, the moderator. So let's get started. The first opening statement, again, each of the candidates will get 60 seconds. It will be provided by candidate Christopher Ray first.
I'm Christopher Gray, and I'm running for mayor of TGK. I've been here in TGK for over almost 20 years. My wife Annie and I have raised 3 children here. And we were able to raise our children in the TGK bubble. We love TGK. TGK has always been a place of neighborly folks that love each other, help each other, and we want to continue that. We want TGK to grow and to develop over the years. And to do that, what we need to do is we need to have limited single-family home growth, and we need to encourage commercial retail development. In encouraging commercial retail development, we can make sure that TGK is a vibrant and thriving community for years to come. Also, I have been involved in heavy highway and infrastructure for the last 20 years. I've been a businessman, so I know what we need to do to run this city like a business. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And we need to pull together to make sure that TGK can be viable and vibrant for a long-term.
Thank you very much. Heather Overman.
Thank you to the Chamber, Lucas, the other candidates, and especially those of you watching from home. My name's Heather Overman. I am an 11-year resident of TGK. I'm a wife and a mom to 2 amazing kids who go to TGK Elementary School. I am the only current council member running for re-election, this time as mayor. Our city is in the best financial shape it has ever been in. We have not raised taxes in 12 years, and that we have been able to put significant dollars back into the community, even with that fact. Going forward, we need to focus on economic development, connectivity, continuing to put money into public safety and our first responders, as well as our parks, recreation, green spaces, and natural areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll begin our questioning. Question number 1 will go to Ms. Overman. Growth. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance recently released its 2050 growth projections and determined York County will grow by 99%, taking us from 282,000 to more than 550,000 by 2050. As mayor, outline your vision for how either the city will grow through annexation or the surrounding unincorporated land will be utilized, if not annexed. And then what is your plan to positively influence that pending growth?
Sure. Well, growth is no secret to TGK. We have almost doubled our population in the past 10 years. I can say definitively that we have not approved any new residential housing or dwelling in the last 4 years. We are putting an end to residential growth, and we need to switch to commercial tax base. We need to grow our commercial and retail areas, and that specifically talks to annexation. There's not much land left around TGK, so if we are to annex land in, it should be specifically for commercial growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gray.
I believe we need to annex as much property around TGK as we can. We have got to be able to control the growth and be able to stipulate what's built and how it's built. We need to develop a strong commercial retail sector. TGK is facing challenges. We've got to get away from assessment fees, and we've got to develop our growth in the commercial sector in order to make TGK a destination. We've got to have people stay here, play here, and pay here. We've got to put the infrastructure in place to support that. I've got over 20 years' experience in developing infrastructure by working with developers, working with GCs, small towns, large cities, and states. I run a company right now that we control a 100-mile radius of Charlotte. We are a infrastructure company that installs traffic signals and all kinds of infrastructure with GCs, states, and cities, and I'm the guy to do it.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 2. Mr. Gray, you'll get this question first. Economic development. Businesses play an essential role in TGK, from providing services to our citizens to providing a tax revenue to pay for city services and public education. Do you believe the city needs more businesses? If so, how will you work to attract more businesses while supporting the existing businesses?
We do need to encourage more businesses to get here. One thing that we have to do is we have to restructure how we tax businesses here. The problem is if you own a business and you're a resident in TGK, you pay more taxes, so it's not attractive for you to do business here in TGK. We need to restructure that in order to encourage businesses to come in. The businesses that we want to see come in are not national chains. We want local folks to come in. We want local entrepreneurs to be able to showcase their products, their skills, and we need to encourage that kind of growth, especially for the people that are here in TGK already. We did a study a couple years back that we put out a DVD to a couple of national chains, and nobody really wanted to come here. The reason was because TGK is not a huge, we don't have a lot of rooftops. Well, now, with the growth that we have, with the park coming on, we've got to make TGK a destination, and we can develop that in a responsible way with good common sense.
Thank you very much. Ms. Overman.
Sure. Economic development needs to be at the forefront of what we do for the next 3 to 5 years. Some of the ways that we can do that, or what we have already put in place, is we have mixed-use development standards currently in place. That allows us, for when developers come in, to kind of control what is and happening into those developments. So that's how the buildings look, what the lighting is, how the parking is, are they pedestrian friendly, and specifically what is allowed, what available allowances are available to go in there. So we put those in place, and that really allows us to kind of manipulate or put in place what the residents want and need. We've also partnered with Retail Strategies, who is a consulting firm, to help us bring in businesses from around the area. That will help us continue to grow this community. That's what we want. How can we help current businesses? Our economic development committee is currently working to offer business incentives. One of those incentives could be business license rebates.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 3. Ms. Overman, you'll begin this round. Tax revenue expenses. As mayor, what do you believe should be the city's top 3 expense items over the next 4 to 5 years, and do you have the necessary revenue to cover these expenses?
Sure. Tax revenue probably should be through our first responders and public safety, so that should be our number one area of concern. Parks and recreation should be number 2, and then continuing to invest in infrastructure and small area projects for capital projects. Those 3 areas need to be our focus. They have been our focus, and they need to continue to be where we put our tax dollars.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gray.
I believe the biggest things that we need to do in TGK, we've got to strengthen our road systems. We've got to strengthen our pedestrian safety, and we've got to make it safer to navigate vehicles and pedestrians in TGK. One of the biggest things that we need to do is we need to put in sidewalks, and that's going to be a pretty big project for us. I shudder every time I see a child on Malachi because there's chances that he could get hit. We've had some close calls on TGK Drive in the past few years. We also are going to have to bring on more equipment and more staff to cover Catawba Park. Right now, we do not have the staff and we do not have the equipment to cover it. We also need to take care of our equipment by building a pole barn to house our equipment. My dad always said, your equipment's only as good as you take care of it. We also have to add on more guys to our park and rec, and we need to beautify the city so that people are proud to be here.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 4. Mr. Gray, you'll begin this round. Transportation. With continued population growth in York County, transportation and traffic flow will always be a challenge. What or where should RFATS, stands for the Rock Hill Fort Mill Area Transportation Study, should place most of their attention to help TGK residents and businesses?
Well, I think that we need to turn our attention to developing fast lanes. We also need to increase our connectivity in our traffic signals so that we have a shuttle instead of a one-off system here and there. We need to coordinate our traffic signals. If you don't have a coordinated traffic signals, you can't shuttle platoons of cars efficiently through town. Right now we're trying what's called a Blue Toad system. It works off the Bluetooth of your car. I don't think that's going to be sufficient enough to sustain us. We're going to have to widen some more roads out. We're going to have to increase our infrastructure in York County and TGK to handle the growth that we're going to have, which means we're going to have to take some property. We're going to have to turn that into bigger roads. One project that I did on 15501 in Chapel Hill was we created what's called a fast lane. And what it does is it takes cars and will not let you turn right or left until you get to a U-turn station. That's also present in 74. That's what we need.
Thank you very much. Ms. Overman.
So ideally, we'd like to keep people here. We want people to work and play and spend their money here in TGK. But as Lucas mentioned, we're looking at 99% growth over the next several years. So we need to bring the light rail across the border into York County. It's something that we've tried to work with Mecklenburg County on for years, but it needs to happen. We need to have some forethought and put the dollars in place now so that we can have that. Bus routes, we have some that run, but it's not enough. Rock Hill's done a great job with this, but we need to expand that. Again, working with Mecklenburg County to offer those routes and take people into the city and back into York County throughout the day. Chris Gray mentioned it, widen our roads. Unfortunately, the more traffic, 160 is a parking lot, and we're just going to have to expand those roadways to make it work going forward.
Thank you very much. We'll move along to question number 5. Ms. Overman, you'll begin this round. Partnerships. What entities should the city of TGK do a better job working with on an ongoing basis, and how do you see developing these partnerships?
Absolutely, it's critical. It's critical to our success as a city. So partnerships with other municipalities, the other mayors in those municipalities. I have great relationships already built, already ready to go. I spoke with the new mayor of Rock Hill the other day. Well, old mayor, but new mayor, reelected. So you know, having those partnerships with the York County Council, expanding those relationships as well. Our school board, RFATS, the local committees. You know, we have economic development, we have planning commission, but we need to work with the committees in our other municipal areas just to make sure that we're communicating effectively so that our development matches their development plans and we're all working together cohesively to make our area the best it can be.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gray.
Partnership is a big deal. We all share the same piece of dirt. we need to partner with York County and Fort Mill so that we can drive TKK in the direction that it needs to go. We've got good working relationships already. I think DOT needs to be a big part of it as well. Nobody wants to sit in traffic all day. DOT has done a decent job so far for us in developing the DDI intersections. I've done 5 of them, and I'm not really happy with what's going on now. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to try to come alongside DOT and see if we can do something to help them. I also think that we need to speak with our developers. Those are the guys that are putting everything in. They're making the decisions on a day-to-day basis. We need to come alongside them, coordinate with them, and make sure that we implement what we want them to do. We have a say in it as long as we're annexing our own properties and create that hedgerow around Fort Mill and TKK. I think we'll be okay.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 6. Mr. Gray, you'll begin this round. Parks and recreation. Quality of life amenities that include trails, walkways, and parks have long been important to the city of TKK and its citizens, and a new sports complex park with additional trails will open soon. What's next, or what is needed with the current park system?
I think the first thing that's needed with our current park system is we need to spend some money on upgrading the parks. We need to, I would love to have the ability to broadcast at Turner Field the national anthem before the games. I think that dugout over there needs a little work. Our T-ball field needs some work. We need to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to support our children as they come up. I was a coach for 17 years in TKK and Fort Mill. I coached all the sports for all my kids. And that was a big part of why we moved into TKK was because of the Park and Rec. And Charlie, I want to tell you, I appreciate you doing for such a good job for us, and Joey as well. These guys did a tremendous job for us, folks. We need to make sure that we're spending the money right, because our kids are not the future of TKK. They're today's TKK. And we need to do all we can to support them.
Thank you very much. Ms. Overman.
So Parks and Rec, it's who we are. It's our identity. Moving into what we need to do, we need to bring Catawba Park online. We need to make sure that that is successful first and finish it out. So most of this first and second phase will take place and we'll complete the majority of it, but we need to finish it out to completion. Then we need to reevaluate and put some money back into our older facilities. Does Turner Field need to remain Turner Field? Do we need to reevaluate what Rundy is? Looking at those facilities, seeing what we need once Catawba Park comes online, and then making sure we're investing those dollars. And then updating and connectivity. So making sure that we're able to get from one location to another easily and accessible and safe. So those are the areas that I would focus on.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to our last question, question number 7. Ms. Overman, you'll begin this round. The future. As mayor, what is your 10-year vision for TKK?
That's a really great question. Economic development. So I know we've talked about it. We're kind of beating the dead horse here, but it really needs to be our focus. As we head into the next few years, housing is coming to an end, our residential building, and we need to focus on the commercial and retail areas so that we can be a thriving community, so that we don't have to go to Steel Creek or to Rock Hill or to Fort Mill, so that we can spend our dollars here and that we can get to those areas safely and easily. The forefront of what we need to do is making sure that we're bringing in the commercial that people want and need. We don't want any more tire shops or nail salons or storage facilities. We want mom and pop shops. We want restaurants. We want places that people can go to and get to easily.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gray.
Well, I tell you, folks, the future of TKK is bright, and I'm excited about it. I think we need to make TKK a destination. We've got a lot of one-offs, and what we need to do is we need to have keystone pieces in place to where we can make people stay here, to where corporate events, they don't go outside of TKK. They stay here. They eat. They stay, and we can sponsor those. The tournaments that we're going to bring in with Catawba Park, people are looking to spend money. We want to take all the money that we can from them. So we need to develop our commercial retail sector to curtail to that. We want to involve all of our local folks. The biggest thing that I see for TKK in the future is something that every small town has, and it's a Main Street TKK. It's a place to where you can go and you can walk and you can shop. gas-lit lanterns, wide sidewalks, a fountain, a place where we can all come together and we can call home. I've been working with MPV Properties, and I've been working with Taylor Morrison Homes to try to bring that to a reality.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the first portion of our event. Thank you again so much to the two mayoral candidates for mayor here in TGK, Heather Overman, Christopher Gray. We certainly appreciate your time and talent and treasures for sure. Audience, if you can give us just a few minutes, we're going to ask the mayoral candidates to now have a seat in the audience, and those on the city council will take their stage or take their spot here on the stage. So just give us a quick second and we'll switch everyone out. And welcome back. We will continue with our candidate forum here in TGK, moving to the at-large city council candidates. The city council forum will follow the same format and rules as the mayoral forum. We'll follow the first opening statement, all of which, again, will get 1 minute for this, as well as those questions. And we will first begin with Liz Duda.
Good evening, and thank you, residents, chamber, and city. I'm Liz Duda, and I want to represent you on City Council. I prioritize communication, collaboration, integrity, and accountability. My career in finance and risk management, as well as my volunteer work, provide me leading York County coalitions, as well as my master's degree in business from Dartmouth, uniquely qualify me for the council duties of policy, finance, and strategic planning. In this unusual local election, I note that my hard work and dedication to TGK should not be seen as red or blue, but as valuing and serving all community members. In our 16 years here, my family and I have actively volunteered and advocated for our community. My experience will show you that I support a safe, family-friendly community, that I will manage your taxes wisely, making smart decisions on land use and economic development to keep our city taxes low. So I hope for your support as I continue my work towards a safe, family-friendly recreational community for all TGK residents.
Thank you very much. Mr. Christoph Halverson.
Thanks, Lucas. As an independent candidate, I think it's important our city council is able to work together as a team, not only with each other, but also with the community, the county, the state, and neighboring communities, with the singular focus being to accomplish what our residents want. My primary areas of focus include safety, economic development, transparency, and our parks. As the only council candidate with toddler-age children, safety is important to me, but not only for our children, but also for our senior citizens. As the only candidate who is both a business executive and on our TGK Economic Development Commission, my focus is on economic development to bring businesses which add value to our quality of life and also our tax base, saving our residents from significant tax increases. I have been preparing for the opportunity to serve you on City Council for many years, and that gives me an in-depth understanding of how to get things done for you in TGK. I greatly appreciate your vote.
Thank you very much. Thomas Heislip.
Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event this evening. I'd like to thank the other candidates for being here. And of course, most importantly, I'd like to thank you for tuning in so you can make an informed decision about this election. My name's Tom Heislip. I'm running for City Council. I've been a public servant my entire life, and I would like to continue serving you on City Council. For 26 years, I was in the United States Army, 5 years on active duty, and then an additional 21 years in the reserves. During that time, I deployed to Iraq for a year, and I retired in 2019 as a colonel. When I left active duty, I entered federal law enforcement. I started as a special agent with the United States Secret Service and continued for 23 more years with the EPA, and then finally with the Department of Defense. After 13 years, I retired from the Department of Defense as a resident agent in charge of cybercrime. I thank you again for being here. I look forward to taking your questions tonight from Lucas that were sent in, and I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Scott Shirley.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Lucas, and thank you for Chamber for holding this event. My name is Scott Shirley, and I'm running for City Council. I moved here 16 years ago with my wife and two very small children, looking for a great school system, found an amazing community that we have fallen in love with. This community has really served our family well, and it's time for me to serve this community. For the last 30 years in my career, I've operated as a servant leader in various leadership capacities in automotive retail. I've managed people in teams of 6 and 660. I've managed budgets of up to $20 million a month in revenue. I believe that my experience and my expertise will be valuable on council as we go forward, and I look forward to serving this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to question number 1. Mr. Halverson, you'll begin this round. Growth. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance recently released its 2050 growth projections and determined York County will grow by 99%, taking us from 282,000 to more than 550,000 by the year 2050. As the city of TKK approaches build-outs and no new homes have been approved for several years, what is your opinion on annexation of undeveloped areas adjacent to the city if it includes homes and or apartments along with commercial growth and open space?
Thanks, Lucas. Great question. It's no secret we're slightly landlocked and basically running out of land. We need to be very wise about the land we have left. And then as well as anything we're going to annex has to be of value to the city, specifically in a commercial aspect. I think the city has been pretty transparent, and our residents have spoken. Residential growth is not something they want annexed or grown from within internally in the land we have left. The economic growth is what's going to fuel us for the next 10, 15 years once the impact fees are gone, and that's what we need the most.
Thank you very much. Mr. Heislip.
Thank you. Great question. I know this is important to all the residents. First and foremost, we need to stop growth as much as possible. With the land adjacent to us in the county, as far as annexation goes, the great thing about annexation is it gives us control over the land. With that being said, we cannot force annex in York County. The owner of the land has to want to be annexed. And so we need to work with the current owners or potential developers as well as the York County Council, because if we do not annex that land or they do not want to be annexed into TKK, the York County Council can approve any type of development they want in that land. So by working with the council and talking, the York County Council, in ensuring we all agree on the type of growth, which would be commercial growth, and that when they are approached by a developer or a landowner to look at a new development, that they reach out to us, we work together, and we do what's best for not only TKK, for York County, and we annex that land, we control what goes in there and ensure it's commercial development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shirley.
Yes, thank you. Obviously a popular question, and thank you for asking that, whoever sent that in. So it's hard to compete when the Charlotte Business Journal says we're going to double our size in the next 30 years. That's very difficult to compete with. However, I will tell you that my commitment is I do not want to see any additional residential growth, especially apartments. I don't want to see any kind of businesses that don't bring value to our community and to our citizens. I am very interested in working with Town of Fort Mill and York County to see what available land areas there are that are developable around us. We know there are a few, and we want to work closely with them to develop excellent areas that are attractive for our citizens and for people to come and spend their money in our community. This will be a great way for us to manage the growth, minimize the risk of any additional taxes, and increase our revenue.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duda.
Question?
Sure, absolutely. Growth. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance recently released its 2050 growth projections and determined York County will grow by 99%, taking us from 282,000 to more than 550,000 by the year 2050. As the city of TKK approaches build-out and no new homes have been approved for several years, what is your opinion on annexation of undeveloped areas adjacent to the city if it includes homes and or apartments along with commercial growth and open space?
Thank you. So currently I'm actually enrolled in the Leadership Charlotte program, and so I have been engaged with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance in discussing development opportunities in TKK, trying to figure out what sort of economic development might be appropriate for our area and how we might be able to collaborate into the future. You specifically talk about annexation. I do want to note TKK has doubled in size population and space in the 16 years that I've lived here. York County is continuing its growth. Nobody has any appetite for continued residential growth. However, we all want smart economic development that is appropriate for our local community. We need a voice in our regional, in the regional development that's going on here. I want to make sure that we have voice in the infrastructure growth, in any transportation that is needed. We want to make sure that we have a healthy lake and a healthy river. So we want to make sure that everything is in place so that we can have a safe, healthy, vibrant community that is unique to TKK that we all moved here for, or stayed here for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 2. Mr. Heislip, you'll begin this round. Number 2, economic development. Businesses play an essential role in TKK, from providing services to our citizens to providing tax revenue to pay for city services and public education. What is your plan to attract more businesses to TKK and also support our existing businesses?
Great question. Thank you. Well, it's no secret. The secret's out. TKK is a wonderful place. That's why our home values have doubled in 10 years. So I believe we work with local entrepreneurs. We do surveys. We send out, our Planning Commission and our Economic Development Commission have done a good job with working with the consultant to try to find additional businesses to move here. Our business licenses are extremely expensive, and you're taxed more if you do business here, so we need to look at restructuring that, because you got the possibility of, even though we may lose a little revenue by reducing the business costs, by getting more businesses here, we'll make up that lost revenue. Second, we need to support the businesses that are here. The most recent, we had Model A and Brewery and X-Golf, and they've done a wonderful job, and the community really thrives around it. So I don't think there's going to be any problem supporting them, and I look forward to hopefully recruiting some more entrepreneurs for local development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shirley.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for whoever sent that question in. That was probably a lot of people, because it's obviously a popular topic. I can tell you that in my background, I've spent a lot of my career trying to figure out how to get more money out of a situation where there's challenges, how to try and find creativity to create revenue where there isn't any. And in our home, we've had some challenges that we faced in our own home to try and find creative ways to generate revenue as well. As a council member, I will work very hardly with our team to develop creativity for generating revenue. Certainly, Catawba Park is going to be a jewel of the south of Charlotte, and is going to attract a tremendous amount of activity and business. And we need to attract commercial businesses that can support that. Some really nice shops and restaurants that can support the activity that's going to come in there. Of course, everyone has mentioned the commercial development that will generate tax revenue and retail revenue as well. That'd be my goal.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duda.
I've already mentioned that I have a finance and a business background, so I would be very comfortable supporting proper, appropriate economic development in our area. We all agree, I believe, that TKK needs more businesses that support the lifestyle and values of TKK residents. We want to ensure that we don't attract businesses that we don't need. To attract businesses, we need to ensure that we have appropriate regulations in place that are supportive of businesses. We can look at business licenses, as the Economic Development Commission has started to do already, and along in partnership with city staff. I know that our comprehensive plan lays out a plan. It's got strategies for supporting economic development across all, and so I believe that we need to focus more on what the input that citizens have had into this comprehensive plan, make sure that we're building out the appropriate businesses that people want and need here. One thing, I also think we need to better equip the Economic Development Commission and make sure that they are aware of what they should be focusing on, of what council has tasked them with, in order that they can develop appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Haverson.
Absolutely. So the economic development aspect is, I think, one of the most important things to this community, if not the most important. Without it, we're going to see significant tax increases. I think it's important to recognize that not all commercial tax is created equal either. We need to be creating more hospitality. because of the benefit that that brings to the city in revenue from hospitality tax. Our business licenses are not just expensive, they're more than double anywhere else in the area. You have areas like Gastonia that are free right now, basically. Even in Rock Hill, it's half the price that it is here. So we need to be doing something with that business license, and incentives is the easy upfront way, but also long-term looking strategically at how we can increase our commercial tax growth.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 3. Mr. Shirley, you'll begin this round. Financial stewardship of tax revenue. What grade, A through F, would you give prior councils on tax revenue utilization, and why did they deserve that grade?
Thank you. Great question. So I would give our previous council probably an A. I would give them an A rating because under the leadership of David O'Neill, our current council has done a remarkable job of creating impact fees for new residential development and commercial development. They've also done a great job of appropriation of those funds. We've built a new police department, fire department, an all-inclusive park, and we're moving forward with Catawba Park. So I would say I don't have anything negative to say about what they've done with those funds. We have some work ahead of us as the team that will be going forward because we have to continue to fund the bonds. But they have done a great job of creating a great community here without raising taxes. In the last 12 years, our property values have doubled, and we haven't raised the tax rate. My intent is to continue to see that trend go forward.
Thank you so much. Ms. Duda.
Thank you. I would characterize that slightly differently. I would give council a B. So we do have the healthiest financial conditions currently that we have had in years, maybe ever. However, council will say that they have not increased taxes, and I would be more specific. The millage rate has not increased in the last 12 years. However, the services offered in that area have been reduced. We pulled out the trash fee, and now residents are charged separately for trash. So there are reduced services underneath that millage rate. So that could be seen as a tax increase. However, I do acknowledge that we are in great financial shape. What else can I point out? We need to continue to ensure that we are receiving. So we've pointed out that we want a good economic development going forward, that we have continued income, and I pledge to be a good steward of people's of the citizens' money if I were on city council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Halverson.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not the type of council member who's going to, blame previous administrations for anything, and if they did an A or a B or C, it doesn't specifically matter. I think we have to own what we have now, and we do come into this next year with a great financial position, but we have to be responsible about keeping that. And over the years, the city's had its up and downs, especially further back, but right now it is a great position, and we want to make sure we don't spoil that.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Heislip.
Thank you. Well, to answer your question, I would give the current council a B+. They've done a wonderful job keeping our millage rate level, as Liz pointed out. They added impact fees 4 years ago, and that's been a whirlwind for the city. The impact fees have allowed to take out bonds to pay for Catawba Park, for the fire department, for the police department, for City Hall. But the problem is going to be in 3 to 5 years when residential growth ends and there's no new impact fees coming in. That currently accounts for about 10% of our general fund. Last year it was $1.3 million of a $13 million general fund budget, and we need to find out how are we going to replace that revenue without raising taxes. I have a few ideas for that, but we need to start working on it now. We can't wait until those impact fees end. Catawba Park's going to help, but economic development and commercial development are the biggest cornerstones to replacing that $1 million loss, because that money pays for our bonds, and we have to pay that bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll begin now our 4th round of questioning, and we'll begin back with Ms. Duda. The future. As a city council member, if elected, you will, of course, serve a 4-year term, and dealing with current issues is a critical part of the job. However, when you look 10 years out, what do you believe is the city's biggest future challenge that you will encourage council to begin working to address now?
there's a few areas that I would like to address over the next 10 years. I note that with our growing and changing population and the launch of Catawba Park, we need to, and as well as the recent investments in local parks, we need to evaluate our parks and our recreational facilities and programming to ensure that it's meeting the needs of the current community members, as well as our needs, our values, and our desires. That's one part. Another thing I'd like to do is ensure that the areas of development or redevelopment appropriately align with our comprehensive plan. So as I said earlier, the comprehensive plan reflects citizen values. Let's make sure that redevelopment does meet the needs of the residents. The third area I would like to look at is making sure that TGK neighborhoods are branded to make sure that everyone in our community feels that they live in a valuable part of TGK. So I believe that there's division now. I would like everyone to feel that their neighborhood is valued, is seen, and that they're proud to live in their neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Halverson.
Yeah, thanks. I would say that we really need to be acting now about the businesses that everyone keeps talking about. Instead of just thinking about it, we need to be acting. With the small amount of land we have left, if we don't act now, those properties are going to get bought up by a storage shed or a gas station or something that, not to pick on any of those types of businesses, that doesn't add directly to the quality of life. And that's what we need to be focusing on now, because once that property's gone, it's gone. And I would also add that we need to be looking at the infrastructure side of that. So I know that they're already looking at, how do we build out the roads around Catawba Park and things like that. But as we are increasing traffic, we of course need to be preparing for that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Heislip.
Thank you. Great question. I hit on it a minute ago in the last answer. 10 years from now, I want us to be in a great financial situation, but we need to start planning now for that. I mentioned the impact fees will be ending, and that's 10% of our budget. So how do we replace that? You couple that with, we have some aging infrastructure that needs to be maintained and upgraded, and that includes roads. It includes water and sewer. It includes the park and rec with the older facilities around town. Rundy and Turner Field could use some upgrades. The pocket parks around town are aging and could be need to be upgraded. So the biggest challenge we have for the next 10 years is the financial situation of the city. And I'm confident if we start planning now and start developing local commercial properties where we can stay and play, keep our money here, keep our tax money here, at the same time ensuring the city is spending the money wisely, spending your money wisely, and coupled together, I believe we can overcome the difficulties we're going to have. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Shirley.
Yes, thank you. So 10 years from now, if we look back at our last 10 years, I think our history tells us a story. Our crime rate has gone up 100% in 10 years. That's an important factor for us. Our crime rate is still low compared to other cities around us, but for us to go up 100% in 10 years, we need to keep an eye on that, and we need to increase the support that we have for safety and for our first responders as we go forward in our city. Our financial development is going to be critical for the next 10 years. As we look at development, land development, and bringing the right kind of businesses to our city, that's going to be critical for us, and making sure that our infrastructure supports it. When we moved here, when our family moved here, we found an amazing community that offers recreation on land and water. And we want to make sure that we preserve that as well for every family that lives here and every family that might come here to enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll begin now with our question number 5. Mr. Halverson, you'll begin this round. Partisanship. In today's political climate, it is now common for candidates of even city council races to make their party affiliation or leaning known. If elected, how will you ensure that all citizens' concerns are heard and that you will represent all?
Well, I think that is one of the hottest questions in TGK right now. So, excellent question. I myself am nonpartisan and do not have any party affiliation, and I think it's important to note I haven't taken any financial funds from any parties. I certainly appreciate the concern, and it's been voiced in a number of different directions, right? I think that adding to that, both parties see the local level as the battleground to, win the state in some ways. And so that increases spending on the local level from the parties. And so to answer that question, I don't think there is an easy answer. And I don't think that the people want to get rid of the party, being allowed to affiliate at all with parties either. So it's not an easy answer. I think we need to work with the city and our public and our residents to come up with the best solution for that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Heislip.
A great question, thank you. Yeah, I think nonpartisan elections are great for municipal elections. We really should be talking about potholes, parks, roads, aging infrastructure, local support for the police. And how do we do that? Unfortunately, the entire country is very hypersensitive and politicized right now, and it's filtering down into local levels. How do we stop that? I think, the best thing is we keep the nonpartisan elections here in the city. We be transparent. We be accountable, and we have to ensure that everybody in office, in running for office, is here for the right reason. We're running to support TKK, for the support of the residents, not for yourself, not for your own ego, just to make this and keep this a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shirley.
Thank you. Chris, well said. This has been a hot topic for the last several weeks. Christoph, thank you. So we operate in what we call a nonpartisan election. I'm just going to call it what it is. I think it's nonsense. Every single one of us have voted a certain way over the years. We've supported various parties over the years. We support values and things that are important to us as individuals. And that's what makes us individuals. And I love the fact that anybody that's sitting up on this panel may have differences in opinion. And I think there's value in having a council with opposing views. Whether I'm fiscally conservative and I have family values, or if someone on the council doesn't, I think there's value in having people with opposing views so we can debate a topic properly. We can look at a topic with diversity in views, and we can come to a consensus that makes sense for our community. So I would say, going forward, I think we just say who we are and let it be in the open.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Duda.
The TKK City Council role is a nonpartisan role, and I will abide by that. As I said earlier, my values are collaboration, communication, and integrity, and I think that that stands perfectly for this local election. Since I moved here 16 years ago, I first went before the Planning Commission in 2007 with my 1-year-old on my hip, and I fought for ordinance change that will reflect local values. Since then, I fought for years with the citizen group against sewage spills, and I ultimately received recognition from the South Carolina State House for that effort. I received the Citizen of the Year Award for that work, as well as other work that I have done in the community. These are local issues that we all should be working to address. We share local values about what we can achieve at the local level. I don't think that we need to be divided. I totally respect differing opinions. I want to hear everybody's opinions. I believe we come to more robust conclusions when we hear differing opinions, but we do need to be respectful and continue to be nonpartisan for our local government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on now to question number 6, and this will begin with Mr. Heislip. Number 6, parks and recreation. Quality of life amenities that include trails, walkways, and parks have long been important to the city of TKK and its residents, and a new sports complex park with additional trails will open soon. What's next, or what is needed within the current park system?
Thank you. Just quickly to highlight what you said, Catawba Park's coming online. It's going to be a wonderful regional park for the city. I hope it's going to pull the city together. No more of this old TKK, new TKK, peninsula, non-peninsula. My intention and hope is that everybody is one TKK. What's needed is the current parks and recs have been used heavily because it's the only parks and recs we have, and that's one of the reasons we're building Catawba Park. So we need to look at upgrading and repairing Turner Field and Runday Park. We also need to look at the pocket parks around TKK. There's about 10 of them scattered throughout the city. If you go by them, some of them are in pretty rough shape, and it wouldn't take much to bring those back online and make them a nice, fun neighborhood park for the kids. And finally, the trails. You know, we have a new trail coming online that's going to go from the peninsula over to Stonecrest, and I believe that's going to really also help, you know, make TKK an inclusive city and make us just one TKK, no more of this division. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shirley.
Yes, thank you. So one of the first places that I met a resident from TKK, that our family met a resident of TKK, was at Trailhead Park. We were looking for a home in TKK, and we came upon Trailhead Park with a 2- and a 3-year-old boy that were looking to get out of the car and stretch their legs a little bit. We met a wonderful resident that really essentially helped us fall in love with TKK because of the way our parks were designed. We've lived here for 16 years, and we've enjoyed the value that our parks have to offer here, but we've also seen, as Tom said, we've also seen a lot of pressure on those parks. We've seen those parks and trails and access areas really get a lot of pressure on them. We're building an amazing, inclusive park that's going to tie TKK together in probably ways that people didn't even envision as a city. I'd like to see us put some effort into our current parks and our trails. Who drives down the trails and doesn't get their fillings knocked out on those trails now, right?
Thank you so much. Ms. Duda.
Great. Thank you. So TKK brands itself as the recreational community on Lake Wylie. My family values the parks. They're important to us. I coach my daughter's soccer team. My husband coaches all the 6 other sports that my boys and daughter play. For years, we have needed new parks. TKK has come together, found the financing and the ability to create Catawba Park, which will be an excellent addition to the community. They've also recently invested in Windjammer, in Rundy, and in Turner, which I appreciate. However, the population has doubled, and maybe we have new needs. So I believe that we need to look at the space and the programming to ensure that it's appropriate for all current TKK residents. I believe that we need a more holistic view, perhaps create a Parks and Recreation master plan or a strategic plan to understand what the needs are. I hear people saying that they need more tennis courts. We recently invested in pickleball courts. Those are widely used. Bocce ball courts, not so much. Croquet, that is doing very well, but what are their needs? Some people want basketball courts. So understand what the needs are and make sure that there is safe bike and pedestrian connectivity to the parks from neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Halverson.
Great, thanks. I would argue that I'm probably on our trails and in our parks more than any of the other candidates, at least an hour a day. And I think that there's a number of things we can do. I think, for one, we do need to increase our staff potentially and look at how we're going to increase maintenance of existing parks. A lot of people are concerned about that with the new park coming online. I think we can increase the use of our beach access at the swim center potentially. And we could even do that to make it self-funding because of the amount of parking there. We could have, you know, a day pass type of thing or something like that to alleviate pressure off the other parks. I know that our current beach parks have a lot of requests from citizens for cameras and for full-time police staff in the summer, which we've started to get in the last year some support on, and that was awesome, and we just need to continue that. I know at parks like Windjammer currently, the camera is no longer there for some reason, so we need to make sure those things are put in place and keep up to date. But the city does an amazing job with the current resources, and I think we can further that.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question number 7. We'll begin with Mr. Shirley. Number 7, challenges. If you could only fix one issue facing TKK, what would that be for you, and what would a fix look like?
So that's a great question. Thank you. There are many challenges that face our city, and we've talked a lot about them this evening, and we've seen a lot of energy around those concerns with our city on social media recently. So I would say if I had to put my finger on the one thing that's most important, I would say making sure that our city is funded properly as we go forward. Because if we fund our city properly, we can afford a safe city where we have the right amount of police force and first responders in our city. If we fund our city properly, we can make sure that our parks and recs have the right funding that they need as well. If we fund our city properly, we can make sure that we don't end up with a significant amount of debt with the projects that we've taken on, and we can bring the right businesses into our community so we don't end up in a situation where our citizens have to bear the weight of that with a tax increase. So I would say that one thing of funding our city properly is going to be the precipice for the other items that we're looking at.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duda.
As I've noted, our city has doubled in size since I moved here 16 years ago. We've had many new houses built and developments built. I want to help make sure that the houses feel like homes and the developments feel like neighborhoods. I want to understand what the citizens want in order to make them feel happy and comfortable and connected to their neighbors. I think connectivity is a significant issue. I want to make sure that our neighborhoods are connected to the parks, to the schools, to the commercial areas. So that's one form of connection. The other one is that I want to make sure that citizens feel connected to each other. We've discussed divisiveness in our community right now. I believe that everyone needs to feel respected. I want to hear what everyone has to say. I want to hear their opinions. I want to help make it better. I believe that city council members can work together to try to overcome differences in the community. I want to help connect people. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Haverson.
Yeah, that's a tough one to say. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. If you think about, the concerns, they're all pretty typically rotating. If it's, the deer, the golf carts, the safety, or, I would say prior to recently, I would have said the water system. But that now has, a very optimistic outlook with the use of the recent COVID budget, CARES Act budget. So, I would say that one issue I don't think answers the concerns of all the citizens. So I think we should look at all of the issues, and the good part is that many of them can be solved very easily with some creative approaches, and we should do it together as a community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Heislip.
Great question, simple answer. Our financial situation is the biggest problem facing this city. We've had a whirlwind. We've done a great job recently, but I've talked about this twice already tonight. And with these impact fees going away, it's 10% of our general budget, and that money is used to pay the bonds. So we can't take additional loans to pay those bonds. We have to find ways to replace 10% of our general fund budget. If we don't do that, the knee-jerk reaction is to raise taxes. I'm not for raising taxes. It's not your fault that we don't have the money for projects we built and bonded for and relied on impact fees. So I personally think that the biggest problem we have is our financial situation. We need to develop a plan, and we need to start acting now to ensure we get in front of it and we have the money to fund those bonds and fund the city so that you do not have to pay more of your money to the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll enter into our last question, question number 8. We'll begin back with Ms. Duda. Candidacy. What makes you the best candidate for city council? What qualities do you bring to the table?
Pardon me. I've lived here for 16 years. I became immediately involved in the community. I'm going to hit the ground running. I have been involved in various areas. I'd say I want to point out in the last time, in the 2017 era, that people were saying that the most transformational issue in the city was sewage. I was part of the group that fought the sewage spills. Now, some of the major issues are making sure that we're all connected, that we have safe bike and pedestrian access. As I mentioned, I'm the member of various community coalitions where we are advocating for infrastructure improvements, for safe access between neighborhoods and communities. So I'm going to continue with my work that I've been doing in the community since I moved here 16 years ago, and I want to work with everybody. I will be collaborating, I will be communicating, I want to hear from you, I want to share with you what my values are, and I just hope to be able to serve the residents of TKK. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Halverson.
Yeah, great question. So, as most of the candidates, I mentioned tonight, business development is very important. And as the only candidate who is both a business executive and on the City Economic Development Commission, my focus on economic development, I think, is crucial in saving our tax base and our quality of life improvement. Additionally, I think the transparency aspect is huge as well. So I bring that, and a lot of people have seen that in the way I publicly portray some things recently. So ultimately, I think I'm the best choice to accomplish what our residents want and listen to our residents, have it be an open dialogue, and not be to select any specific group or category for the needs that we're looking to fill.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hyslop.
Thank you. I've been a public servant my entire life, and I believe my record stands for itself and my willingness to put service before self. I want to take this opportunity on council to continue to serve the residents of the city and keep TKK the wonderful city for the reasons we all live here. I believe my experience in the military allows me to lead and to build coalitions and to work with other government bodies. I also am the only person here that's been in law enforcement, and I understand the safety needs and the growing crime, and as well as the drug problems in York County. And I will support law enforcement completely. I know everyone else will too, so that's not an issue. But what I'm trying to say is I've worn that badge. I've been out on the streets, and we need to stay in front of the crime problems confronting America in York County, and we do that by funding our police department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Shirley.
Yes, thank you. So my entire life, I've been what I would call a servant leader. I served the community that I grew up in many capacities as a Boy Scout, as a servant in my church, as a volunteer firefighter, and now I have the opportunity to serve this amazing city. I'm not a politician. I'm a sales guy that is a servant leader that knows how to collaborate with people. I know how to develop change management. I know how to get people rowing the boat in the same direction toward a common goal. I know how to manage large and small budgets. I know how to create revenue where it doesn't exist, and I know how to control expenses. I look forward to this opportunity to serve our community. You've got 4 outstanding individuals sitting up here at this desk tonight, and you have some tough decisions ahead of you. I'm not going to say that I'm any better than any of them, but I think my experience is something that will be unique to bring to the table with this council, and I look forward to serving.
Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate it, and that concludes the second and final portion of our candidate forum. Candidates, thank you so much for your willingness to serve, for giving your time, talent, and treasure. We certainly appreciate it and wish you a lot of luck on November the 2nd. Citizens, thank you so much for your interest in the candidates, this event, and the business community, as well as the democratic process. This was live streamed, so if you're watching us on Comporium Cable Channel 115 or 126, or whether you're watching us on Facebook through the TKK Facebook page, thank you very much. This was also recorded, so it gives you a chance to learn more about these candidates, and that video should be posted online sometime tomorrow, Friday, October the 22nd. Just give them a little bit of time. It's technology. Don't forget to please vote on Tuesday, November the 2nd. Absentee voting is available. And finally, the York County Regional Chamber and the Fort Mill TKK Area Councils wish to thank the City of TKK for live streaming this event and to everyone who had a role in putting this together. We hope you have a safe night. Get out and vote, and we'll see you at the polls.